Now, despite making staff aware of his dairy allergy, Owen collapsed just 55 minutes after eating grilled chicken, which they later found out had been coated in buttermilk.
So his family and I calling for a new law on allergen labelling in restaurants, and we're joined by Owen's dad, Paul, and his sister, Emma, and our condolences to you. And you've got that lovely framed picture, Paul, of your boy, of your lad, his whole life ahead of him. And did you always live with the fear and the threat this was going to happen, bearing in mind of his allergic reactions?
It was always a risk, but it was always a well-managed risk. We drilled it into him and ourselves and the rest of the family what to do, especially when eating out, always to tell the waiters that he had allergies of a particular kind, and to make sure that whatever he was going to be given was free of those allergens. So we had a well-honed procedure, and Owen grew up in that environment, and he knew always that was his duty to make sure that he ensured that the staff knew he had these allergy problems.
When did you first know? When did you all realise, when did he realise something wasn't right when he was young, when he was growing up?
From a very early age, 18 months or so, he started to be sick when given...
Possibly earlier than that, actually. About 6 months when he started weaning, I think. He started coming out in hives, or he would end up vomiting after small amounts of bread, for example. So it was very obvious. He also had terrible eczema, which then became a lot worse when he'd eaten certain foods. And so it was...
But here's what I don't understand, Emma. How does he go from that situation to when he's 18, something actually kills him?
It's an immune response. So it's an allergy is different from an intolerance. An intolerance is something that will give you a bit of a tummy upset or cause a bit of discomfort. An allergy is when your immune system massively overreacts to what it believes is attacking the body. So it sends out all the wrong messages and goes into a huge overdrive trying to protect itself, but then you get a sort of a runaway train type effect. And that's these kind of unstoppable reactions with the adrenaline and everything. That's what happens.
And Owen was very aware of all that, as you said. He'd grown up with this. He managed it very well. The family managed it. So when he ordered the food in the restaurant, what did he order? What did he tell the waiter? And what do you know about what happened after that?
Well, the coroner accepted the evidence of the witnesses that were there on the day, that he told the waiter he had allergens, and specifically to wheat and dairy. He had other allergies as well, but he mentioned the word allergens, and that was all that was required. Had it been taken into account by the waiter, that was all that was required in order to trigger the restaurant's stated allergen procedure. We don't know why that never took place. Maybe the waiter didn't hear. It was a noisy environment. We will never find that out. But the coroner, and this is the important thing that happened just 2 weeks ago now, the coroner's verdict was, yes, he did say, I have allergies, and that was the important thing.
So that message either got confused or didn't get to the kitchen. He ate a chicken burger, I understand, a butterfly chicken, which she thought was completely plain.
Yeah.
And it was coated in buttermilk. How long before that affected him?
Pretty quickly. He reported, according to Martha, his girlfriend, having a tingling sensation very quickly. It wasn't the burger, it was just plain chicken.
Yeah.
But he left half of it. He didn't get through it all, and he stopped eating it, and that was it. And he thought, you know, it might just go away, but it obviously didn't.
Did he have his pen with him?
He didn't, but he was so used to managing his reactions. He'd quite often have very mild reactions. For example, he'd have a bit of a stomach ache or a little bit of a tingling on his lip, and he'd take some antihistamines, and that would be enough to calm it down. And on that day, sadly, he didn't have his EpiPen, but we've been told that the seriousness of the severity of the reaction was so much that an EpiPen wouldn't have even touched the sides.
And where were you both when you received the terrible news that he had passed away?
I was on the train up to London because I'd been working that day. My husband and my son were with Owen on the morning. They were on a boys' day out for his birthday with our other brother, Daniel, at the Star Wars exhibition at the O2. And my husband, Richard, had a phone call on the way back turned out to be a passerby who was using Martha's phone. She was in so much shock she couldn't speak, and saying that he'd collapsed and was having some sort of fit. And at that stage, didn't really know what to do. Owen was hospitalised once or twice a year for his asthma. So when my husband Richard then called me at work and said, I've had this message saying Owen's collapsed and has had a fit, and I thought it sounded a bit strange, so I said for him to turn around. He was driving home, so I got him to turn around, and I got the train up to London and managed to get hold of my brother and tell him to turn around. He was on the train going back home, so he got there first, and I was on this train by myself, kind of wondering what on earth was going on, but at the back of my mind still thinking, oh, it's probably only an asthma attack.
And for you, Dad, you got a call that no parent ever wants to receive. And...
Well, I was in North Devon, in a place where you can't even drive your car.
And then the longest journey of your life.
Yes, it was about 5 o'clock and I had a call from Emma. The phone connection was very bad. I had to run up to the house, call her back from a landline, and it was the worst news you can ever imagine. And then I had to drive 5.5 hours. I think I got to London about 10:30 to the hospital, and it was the worst drive ever. And I won't tell you what speed I went. But I was distraught, and I just had to do that.
But could I say it's very sad listening to both of you and hearing this. And as you know, Emma, we work with a young woman called Amy May Sheed, who thankfully survived her allergen intolerance, and but you know it's left her incapacitated, and it's very hard on her and her family. But she's lucky; she survived. Nothing we're going to say is going to bring Owen back. But Paul, what are you hoping to do so that there will not be another Owen, that other parents won't have to go through what you've gone through?
Well, just like there's been Natasha's law, we want there to be Owen's law. And Owen's law covers 4 basic points. The first is more accurate allergen information on the face of menus. It needs to be there so that people can read it when they're ordering and choosing their food. And the allergen matrices that they have that supply maybe further information to be more accurate. We also want there to be a mandatory requirement for the waiter to ask, not to wait to be told, but to ask their customers, do you have allergies? It's a very simple thing. Allergen accuracy and ask for allergens. We think there ought to be mandatory training. We're not sure whether the training that was given to the servers in question was enough, and especially in fast-moving food restaurants with a high staff turnover, training may not be as good as people might think it is. And that is a key thing. And the last point of the 4 is an allergy anaphylaxis register of deaths that more accurately records who died from what, so that the medical professions can better understand what's happening. It's a very complex area, allergens and anaphylaxis, and the medical professions need more data to understand that. So those 4 points, what we call Owen's Law, are really what we'll be asking.
Things are changing already. Byron Burgers, which was the restaurant that Owen used, say, since 2017 we've introduced a policy whereby all our customers are asked whether they have any allergies. We've added a prompt on the till, reminding the server to have asked the question, and we have an additional leaflet on every table saying, tell your server about your allergies. We'd like to assist in supporting the law change in whatever way we can.
That's excellent news, and I hope they stand, and their promise is to help us. We hope they'll do that. We're waiting still for the coroner to issue what's called a Prevention of Future Death report. That PFD report is really important because that will spell out, and it's something that the government and industry should take account of. So we're going to wait for that, and we think that'll say more or less the sorts of things we've been talking about today. And then that will help us frame our more detailed requirements. And if people like Byron are prepared to work with us, all the better, but it really must be in law. It's not just left to chance.
I mean, you mentioned Natasha's law there. The family of Natasha, ednan-laperouse, have been very supportive to you and your family as well.
They came to the inquest and just sat with us and just gave us hugs and support and advice and told us when they thought it was going well. And obviously for them, you know, it was a very traumatic experience for them, and then to have to effectively relive it by just coming to our inquest, it just meant so much to us.
Well, our condolences once again to you, and memories of Owen. Thank you for sharing them with us. Thank you both very much indeed, and good luck with what you're trying to do.
you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.